What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Ministry in the Markets, where we strive to be people who understand the times to know what we ought to do. My name is Jamal Rose, and I am not a financial advisor. So please do not take anything that I say or do in these videos as financial advice. Please do your own DD and or due diligence slash research so you know what's best for you and your family in these financial times. Cool. That was the intro. Let's get into the video. This is the XRP video that I posted a year ago. Okay, sometime in February, mid to early February. I can't exactly, February 4th to be exact, where I said XRP will be going to $1 soon. Okay, $1. Um, I'm not going to dive into all these. I'm not going to. This guy said, Mr. Stewart 6627 said, XRP said, oh, yeah, hold my beer. Well, XRP never got his beer back, which is so sad. Just couldn't even, like, bought the beer and then couldn't even maybe took one sip and couldn't get his beer back. That is absolutely terrible. This guy said, Tessa Burt 024 said this video will not age well at all. Well, here is the remake. And I hate to say I told you so, but this aged like fine wine. And I'm going to break down why through technical analysis so that you guys don't have to follow these people who are just like XRP only goes up no matter what. And then now you're down 60 to 70% on your position. Let's get into it. This guy said, praise Jesus. The fear and greed index is a sign of loving money and the spirit of greed long term. Yes, for sure. Long term, long term, long term, long term. I hear you. And then this guy went and talked about how stock people should just get out of crypto, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, man, guys, just listen to somebody who is not just shilling you hype and news, but the news says this and yet it goes down. But the news says this and yet it goes down. But the news says this and yet it goes down. Please, please take like a month to learn supply and demand, support and resistance, Fibonacci extensions. That's all you're really going to need to know if you want to buy things for long term at some valuable areas, especially things that have a lot of speculation behind them, like XRP. I'm a believer long term, but I know because of the hype around it, big money has so much capital to drive this thing down on you. And you probably don't have unlimited capital to continue to buy as price continues to dip. So without further ado, let's get into this. The video that I posted was somewhere around here, right? We said February. No, it was over here. It was over here. This is where it was. I said XRP was going down to $1. Pop back up. Okay. That may have been a little bit of a concern, but again, I had this supply zone drawn out. You can watch that other video talking about that supply zone. Um, I'm not going to walk you guys through how it was clearly rejecting off of all these levels. Maybe some of you don't know how to read technical analysis, like comments on that last video. So I'm going to remove a lot of these drawings on the chart and maybe we can get a better visualization of what is going on when it comes to price action. No, not intraday shifts, gifts of discernment. I was going to say something. Lord, help us have more discernment. Okay. Yeah. So we've had this downward trend since really since we failed to break out of the supply zone, which was around $3.31, um, around July 20th, 2025. Okay. Just could not get back above it. Had that nasty spill right here around October 10th. People saw it. Oh, look how bullish that wick was. We need to buy, 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 buy. And if you were buying in here, you are down almost 60% on your position. Okay. We rejected out of a supply zone. When supply is high, price goes down. So we rejected out of a supply zone, but you saw one candle and started buying. Okay. So On top of that, it was rejecting out of the golden pocket here. Do I need to draw those lines? I don't think I need to draw these lines, but I'm just drawing them so that you visualize. Again, maybe not everybody here knows technical analysis, or at least the basics of technical analysis. So I'm going to draw these levels really quickly because I want to move on to Bitcoin and talk about that, especially because on Instagram, if you follow me on Instagram, Jamal Trades or Ministry in the Markets on Instagram, we talked about how Bitcoin was going to drop to 60K. That is exactly where Bitcoin is sitting at. And we're using the same technical analysis here, right? So price fell down here. People were like, look how bullish that is. All of that liquidity got eaten back up. Let's buy. And you were bait. That was literally like a fishing line, and you bit it. And they are reeling you in. Anyway, so it came back up into those orange levels, right? Those lines I just drew across the chart, rejected. Came back up, tried to do it, rejected. Came back up, tried to do it, rejected. You see this yellow trend channel that I drew here? I'm not a perma bear on XRP. I'm really not. What I'm drawing that for is like, okay, like maybe potentially we are setting up this trend, this little wedge right here that we could break back up to the upside. However, once we did, look where we rejected. Where did we reject, people? You should just answer it. Where did we reject? Out of the golden pocket. This is on the daily. This is the daily chart for XRP. Okay, so higher time frame fibs on on the daily like this are a lot stronger. And look what happened. You never saw this level again since January 5th, 2026, or January 6th, 2026. And you just straight fell from that point. These green and blue lines were these trailing golden pocket and fib extensions levels. You can see right here, this golden pocket right here, and this extension. So I have a bullish and bearish extension trailing with price action. If you want this indicator, comment down below, and maybe I'll release it on TradingView. Anyways, so when price was somewhere over here, this is where the fib extensions were. So it went to the 1.382. You can see that 1.382 there. And then it went to the 1.618. You can see that right there. And then from that point, it kind of just chopped around for months from February 5th all the way essentially until you got the breakdown around June 5th. Tried to get back up into it, but where did you reject from? You rejected from this yellow trend line going all the way back to July 21st, 2025. Now, it's not all terrible, okay? It's not all terrible because you rejected from that, right? And then you fell and then you got back above it. But where did you reject? You're now rejecting from the fib extensions that were supposed to be support, and now they're turning into resistance. So rejection, rejection. On top of you have the XRP chart here, or nothing. Yeah, you have the trailing golden pocket here, so that if you did go back up in here, you'd probably still end up rejecting. Let me turn the trend lines back on just to see where the auto trend finder is on my page, guys. If you go to Ministry in the Markets on TradingView, you will find that indicator on there. So these trend lines that were drawn across the chart, so you can see the trend line break here that happened right simultaneously. This red line right there is a trend line. You can see that simultaneous break as it broke on that trend line that was over there from July something 2025. And we're just continuing to drop. Okay. We're continuing to drop. Today we went below a dollar. We went to 99 cents point something. And we'll probably just continue to drop. I hate to say I told you so, but I don't, because I'm hoping at this point you'll be like, okay, I'm gonna unsubscribe to all of those gurus who told me that XRP was in price discovery and went back and it was at $3 and it's just going to keep going. And you just don't even know what all these big banks are getting ready to do and all this stuff that they're getting ready to send XRP to the moon. And you're behind, you're behind, you're behind. So that gets this fear mentality that like, I need to buy, I need to buy, I need to buy. And now that you're down so much, your thought process is, well, yeah, it's for the long term, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with buying for the long term. But why not buy for the long term at some valid support levels? You're buying for the long term at high levels for no reason that are potentially going to reject because you have these gurus out there saying buy, 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 buy. And it's just in a bearish trend the entire time. There's no, even if you're like, man, if you're a believer like me and you're like, God told me to buy, I love that. Did God tell you to ignore patience and self control and wisdom? Did he tell you to do that? He probably didn't. He's probably waiting for you to be like, hey, like if I'm telling you to buy something, I want you to do it with wisdom and discernment and discretion. And how can I best get a return on my investment for the thing that the Lord told me to do? It just doesn't make any sense to buy up here. There was no reason to buy up here. Zero whatsoever. Maybe somewhere in this range, if you really had a conviction around $3 and $2.80, hoping that this $2.80 to $2.70 was going to hold as support to try to get back above the supply zone. Once that happened, I would have been out of my position. I would have been down whatever 20, 30% if I was buying somewhere in this range. Once that happened, yeah, 22%, I would have been out. I'm like, you know what? If it comes back up, I will try to buy it, but it clearly didn't. And this is where I want to buy. I've had this buy zone since I'm almost positive since I made that other XRP video because this is the 1.382, or no, this is not. I do this bigger fib later. Let me hurry up and get through this so you guys don't get bored because technical analysis is like not exciting, and I want somebody to hype me up throughout the video that XRP is going to go to $1 million tomorrow, and I'm going to be rich, and I just don't have to think about anything. Focus, okay? Just focus. I'm almost done. So once price starts is continuing to reject from those levels, you could find support somewhere down here at this trend line. We did break it back above it, so that's your first bullish point. Okay, that is your first bullish point since I can't even say the fib extensions were your bullish point because you never really got that much of a move from that point. I would say your first since January 5th. And then, worst case scenario, it was really before that. It was around the time you were breaking through the supply zone around July 16th, 2025. So, oh, sorry, my daughter's crying. I don't know what's going on. Um, Once price gets back down to these levels over here, I literally had somebody tell me there's no way XRP is going to 35 cents. And I was just like, and that was back when XRP was somewhere above $1.35. And so I was just like, man, bro, I'm already knowing you're listening to people that just are gonna hype you up. But this has been my buying zone for a while. I want to buy anywhere between 77 cents and 35 cents. My main buying area that I really want to buy, if I'm being honest with you, is really, if I'm being honest with you, I'm always going to be honest with you. 64 cents down to 35 cents. So about a 30-cent range is really where I want to buy. I really want to buy higher in this range because you could get some solid support here at 61 cents, anywhere from 64 cents um, down to 59 cents. That is my extreme area where I really want to buy. Anything less than that, I'm going to throw what I got at it. 35 cents here is really where I'm going to stop buying because I just don't know. I don't know how low XRP could potentially go. But as you can see, this would just be a ton of accumulation area down here where you can just find so much support. Okay, moving on. Let's jump over to XRP or Bitcoin, and then I'm going to get out of your hair. Bitcoin. We talked about this on Instagram, okay? Somewhere, I think it was somewhere in here. Once we lost the 100K level, I was telling you guys that Bitcoin was going to 60K. Now, because we lost that 100K level, right? And it's the same stuff. Don't get bogged down by all the lines, okay? I promise you, it's the same stuff. It's golden pocket, okay? Golden pocket lines. Don't worry about how there's like two of these. Just okay, just focus. Golden pocket going across the chart on the daily, try to use it as support. Ran into a bearish trend line all the way back here from this channel, right? That red line, that green line. And then price action continued to fall, tried to find support inside the golden pocket, could not do it, tried to get back up and rejected hard. Didn't even test the 100K psychological level. And you just ripped back down to the downside. And I talked about all of that on Instagram. Go follow me there. I'll leave a link in the description below. And now recently, okay, we came down to the God told me level. Shout out to the Lord for giving me that dream that Bitcoin was going to go to 60K back when Bitcoin was at 116,000, which is insane. Then shot up to 126K, and I was like, "Ooh, Lord, help me out here." And then, yeah, now here we are. Anyways, came back up. What do you know? It's rejecting out of that orange line, rejected off of the 200-day moving average. That orange line is from the daily golden pocket, and we continued to fall. We've continued to fall back down below that bearish trend line, back down below that bearish trend channel, rejected off of that. Now, this is where XRP was in the same space. You had that line, right? You had that bearish trend line. Well, you broke back above it, which is great. And now you're actually, this is probably the most bullish thing you've seen so far. Now you are coming up and then dropping back down into the golden pocket. So you could potentially see some support here on Bitcoin around this 63K to 61K. Okay. This right here is the best bullish case scenario you got. If you don't bounce from here, now I will say this. I will say this. If you don't bounce from here, because again, the Lord did tell me that 60K was going to be the bottom. And I'm like, I don't necessarily see it yet. Again, um go back to Instagram, look at what the Lord told me about Bitcoin going to 60K and how that would be the bottom. I have been bearish this entire time because I'm like, Lord, I don't really see Bitcoin stopping. But this is the first fib extension that looks like Bitcoin is finally getting ready to bottom with these golden pocket here. Again, this is how the golden pocket works. I'm giving you some good news here. So don't be all upset that XRP is dropping and you're just a bear. No, I'm giving you some good news here. This is the golden pocket, right? On the daily, it's a trailing golden pocket, right? So it's not as strong as this bigger one. But once you get the bounce out of this bigger level, right? You can see the movement that happens. Once you failed that golden pocket, the movement was drastic. Once this golden pocket potentially holds with some order blocks down here that are supporting this golden pocket, you could get a decent push. Now you do have the 200-day moving average that you rejected pretty hard from. The last times you rejected from the 200-day moving average, it was ugly. Okay, it was November 3rd, 2025. And then the other one was over here, May 15th, 2026. So the next time you retest it is going to be, um, it's going to be a battle. But if you get back above that, you really only have this bearish trend channel to get back above. And then you could see some smooth sailing at least up until this next order block here, this bearish trend line here. That'll probably go away if you do start to rip out of this trailing golden pocket here. Again, the level that you want to hold is pretty much this. Okay. Um, 63K to 61K. All right. That's the level that you want to hold. Go ahead and mark that on your chart. If you fall back below 60K and you just really 60K and make that red. Okay. 60K and 57,000. All right. If you get a daily close below that, your last level of somewhat support is going to be this bearish trend line. But because it was the bearish trend line, it's going to have some urgency to get back below it. You break below that and good luck. Good luck. So mark those levels on your chart. Level that you want to hold, level that you absolutely have to hold, and then if you don't, you should be bearish. If this level breaks, good luck with XRP. My gosh. Um, Anyways, that's really it. If you get a break to the upside, I'll post more about this anyways. But if you get a break to the upside, 73K will be getting above your 200-day moving average. 73K will be your next level of resistance, strong resistance with that order block right there. And then obviously you have your larger time frame fibs at 78K that we drew way back over here in April 2025. But again, I'll post more videos about that later. Don't want to make this video too long because it's already kind of long as it is. Again, I hate to say I told you so, but I also don't. So maybe that you will start to learn some technical analysis that will help you buy at better prices. I love you. God bless you. Don't be mad at me. Be mad at the chart because the chart isn't going to lie to you. God bless you. I'll catch you on the next one.